everyone is focused, everyone's ready, and we can actually get through some algebra and hopefully feel comfortable and confident with our algebra section as we end off. So guys, I'm going to do a couple with you. We're going to do a couple where you do them by yourselves and then we answer. Let's start by doing this first question together. So within algebra, I haven't put an instruction here, but generally speaking, especially at this point in grade 8, our instruction with algebraic questions is going to be something along the lines of simplify the following or fully simplify the following expressions. But at the end of the day, what we want to try and do here is we want to simplify. Now, remember, simplify means make simpler. This is quite a long, and I don't want to say messy, but there's a lot going on in this expression. And so what we want to try and do is make it easier to understand. That's the goal of simplification. So the first thing that we want to do whenever we've got an expression that we need to simplify is we want to identify our terms. Because if we know which terms we are working with, it would help if I could spell. If we know which terms we are working with, it's going to make our lives a lot easier. So identify our terms. Now, remember, we spoke about this in the last lesson. Terms are separated by plus and minus signs only. So that's what we want to look out for. And so if we go up to our expression, we see we've got a plus sign and another plus sign. Yes, I've got a plus sign in the bracket, but remember, we don't care about the ones in the bracket. We're just going to do a little thing here. Don't look at the plus or minus signs inside brackets. Okay, so those are not signs that we need to worry about. They are inside the bracket, so we don't need to stress about it for the whole expression. So because I've got these two plus signs, this is separating my expression into 3 terms. There's my first term, here's my second term, and finally the plus 2xy is my third term. So once we've identified our terms, the next thing that we want to do is we want to simplify each of our terms. Now, some terms won't need to be simplified, some terms will. But once our terms are simplified, we then know exactly what it is that we're working with, and we can identify our like terms. So if we look at term 1 over here, we can simplify this term. We can divide the 10xy by 2, and we can further simplify it. We can also simplify the second term because we can distribute the 3 into the bracket, which is what I will need to do. But I can't simplify the third term because it's just 2xy. There's no division or multiplication that needs to happen, so I leave it. So when we simplify each term, what we're looking out for here is multiplication or division. So if I take my first term, I've got 10xy divided by 2. So what I want to do here is I want to simplify that whole situation. Now, guys, remember, when we are simplifying terms, so when we're multiplying or dividing, we want to remember our SNV, our signs, our numbers, and our variables. If we sort of do our multiplication and division in these steps, we can make sure that we're doing it correctly. So if I look at term 1, I've got a positive 10 divided by a positive 2. So a positive divided by a positive is a positive, so that's my signs done. Now I move on to my numbers. I've got 10 divided by 2. Now we all know that 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then I've just got my variables x, y. I can't do anything with them. There's no variables in the denominator, so it's not like I can simplify them further. They just stay there. I've simplified my fraction to 5xy. When I now look at my second term, remember what I said is we want to distribute the positive 3 into the bracket. And so what that means is a positive 3 times a positive x is a positive. And guys, remember, we've spoken about this, but any variable or any letter sitting by itself has a coefficient or the number 1 in front of it. So when we now get to the numbers, we've got 3 times 1, which is positive 3, and then we have our variable x. When it comes to our second term, we've got 3 times positive 1. So it's another positive answer, and 3 times 1 is 3. And then we have our y variable. So we have simplified the second term by multiplying the coefficient to the bracket inside. And then, like I say, we can't do anything with the third term, so it just stays plus 2xy. So once we've simplified all of our terms, what we then want to do is we want to add and subtract all of our like terms. Now, guys, remember, like terms are terms that have the same variable and exponent. So that's what we need to look out for in our third step. I usually grab a highlighter at this point so that I can highlight my like terms for myself. I've got a term with x and y in it. So all of the terms that have both x and y in it are like terms. You can see that they've got the same exponents because both of these x and y have exponents of 1. So they're identical sets of variables. That's what makes them like terms. And then I can also see that I've got the plus 3x. And in a separate group of terms, I have got my plus 3y. I can't put the 3x and the 3y together because they have different variables. I have to group them separately. And so now I can finish off my simplification. Now, guys, remember, if you want to write your like terms together, so the 5xy plus 2xy plus 3x plus 3y, you are welcome to. You don't have to, but you can. Some people find it easier to then add or subtract. But now we actually want to add and subtract our like terms. So 5xy plus 2xy leaves me with 7xy. And then I've got my 3x plus my 3y. They are separate terms. They are not like terms, so I can't add them together. They've got different variables. And so I have simplified my expression. All right, so grade 8, what we want to do is we want to identify our terms, check and see if we can simplify any of the terms, and only right at the end do we look and see if we have any like terms that we can add or subtract. So what I want you guys to have a go of is the second example. I'm just going to move it up so I can make this a bit. You can be reminded of how we did it. But I want you to try example 2. Now, very quickly, if you would prefer to write this term as 10x over 2, so if you would prefer to write it as a fraction, that is absolutely fine. You're more than welcome to do that. Just remember, we need to identify our terms and essentially allow ourselves to apply our correct order of work. But I want you to try to, even if you don't get all the way to the final answer, give it a try. So identify your terms, simplify each of the terms that they can be simplified, and then add and subtract your like terms. Remember, answers in the chat. While you're working through this, if anyone has any questions, now is the time to raise your hand. Or guys, remember, put your questions in the chat. The chat is open. I will answer your questions as they come through. But otherwise, now is the time where you can raise your hand to ask me questions. All right, so then while you're doing that, just remember those 3 steps that I've written out for us there. If we can follow those 3, we are able to hopefully simplify our expression. Grade 8, remember, if you have questions or you're feeling a bit stuck, just pop it on the chat, or like I've said, you're welcome to raise your hand at this point and I'll help you. Otherwise, you're welcome to put your answers in on the chat. Right, if we're feeling a bit stuck, I'm going to help you just with the terms. If you are absolutely fine, that's cool. So remember, we look out for our plus or minus signs. We ignore the ones that are in brackets. So this first bracket times 2 is my first term. Then I've got the fraction or the division as my second term. Then I've got minus 3y as my third term. My second. In my first term, I'm able to simplify by multiplying the 2 to the 3x and the 2y. And we've already discussed that in the second term, I've got a fraction that I can divide the 10 and the 2. So we're able to start simplifying our terms as we go along.
Let's go. We can do this.
Remember those variables, guys? The variables don't just disappear unless when we add or subtract our like terms, we cancel out. So we have like 3x minus 3x, which ends up at 0. But our variables can't just disappear unless they do cancel each other out. Just going to give everyone another few seconds to finish off. And remember, guys, when we go through it now, make sure you are marking and correcting your work if necessary.
Yep, and I love those colors there, guys. It should give you like a little bit of a brightness in it. So I love it. Okay, well done, guys, for focusing. Let's go. We can do this.
Alrighty, who wants to raise their hand to explain to me what they did? So step by step, what did we do, or what did you do rather in this question? Anyone want to raise their hand to explain? Oh no, grade 8.
Y'all have tried something. So I'm gonna pick someone up to just answer this question, because y'all have tried it, right? So all of you have written something. So you just have to talk to teacher Sam and I. How did you do it? So let's see.
Even if you only,
sorry,
guys, even if no, I was gonna say, even if you can only just like do a little bit with us, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, even if you're not sure, that's why we are here to learn. Okay, Ritu, I'm picking up on you, girl. So you have to unmute and let us know what did you write. Okay. Okay. Let's go with Ritu. I'm giving you an opportunity to shine. Whatever that you want to say. Okay, whatever that you have done, just tell us. Okay, Ritu. No one is gonna say anything. I'm gonna help you throughout. So, Ritu, I'm going to unmute you again. Just click on it so you can talk to teacher Sam and I. How did you do yours, Ritu? Okay. I see Ritu is I'm going to go to, yeah, it's a problem of unmuting and muting. Let's see who I'm going to pick up on. If you guys don't raise your hands, then we're just going to pick up on you. Okay? That's how it works. That's really how it works. Oh. Who's our lucky winner? Cassie, you're my lucky winner. Okay, so you just tell us what you wrote. You wrote on your book and also on your chat, on the chat. Hi, Cassie.
Miss, I'm sorry I was late, so I wasn't here to see what was going on. So I really don't understand anything.
Oh, okay. We hope that the picture there will definitely explain some of the stuff, because it's just a revision of what we've already done. Who else? Teacher Sam, we will win today. We have to win. Smakelang. I'm gonna unmute you on my side. Smakelang, do you wanna say what you have done? It looks like I'm being biased. I'm picking up on girls. Let's see. Boys, I'm on your way. I'll help you. I'll help you. Whoop. So like, I think Blessed is like, I'm gonna save the whole class. Blessed, we see your hand. Thank you so much.
Hello,
answer.
Hi.
I said 2 times 3, and then I got 6x. And then I said 2.
Oh, you muted? You need to unmute yourself again.
Sorry, maybe that's me.
I said 2 times 3 equals 6x. And then I said 2 plus 2, and I got 4y. And then,
yes, remember it's 2 times 2y, but you have 4y.
Yes, ma'am. Then I said 10x divided by 2, and then I got 5x. And then I said, and then I put minus 3y. And then I grouped which one matches the number, ma'am. And then I found 6x and 5x, and then I plus 6 plus 5x, and I got 11. And then I said plus, and then I said 4y minus 3y, and then I got 1y.
Perfect. Well done.
Wow. Well done. Thank you so much, Blaze. Thank you. Yeah, amazing. Nice, Blaze. Did you see, guys? So Blaze did it so nicely, and no one was saying anything, but hopefully we were all listening, right? So please do correct your work. But I think Shazem and I already saw in the charts that y'all got like similar answers, like the correct answers, majority of you. Well done, guys.
Well done, Bless. Thank you. Sorry, guys, my camera's just off because it seems that I'm glitching a bit. So I don't really know what's happening, but let's see if this helps. Exactly. So like Bless says, what we need to do is we need to times the 2 into the bracket. So 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 2y is 4y. Then in our second term, we've got 10x divided by 2. Remember that 2 divides into 2 once and into 10 5 times. That's why we end up with 5x. And then that minus 3y, remember, we can't do anything with it. It's the last term that can't be simplified, so we just leave it there. Once we've simplified our terms, we look for our like terms. So exactly like Beth said, we need to group our like terms together. And then we can go and add and subtract our like terms. So our final answer there, 11x plus y. If you want to put a 1 in front of the y, so 11x plus 1y, that is absolutely fine. Remember, you don't have to write the 1 in front, but you can if you want. Completely up to you. So either way, it's either 11x plus 1y or 11x plus y. Whichever you decide is absolutely fine. Right, so I'm just going to make that a touch smaller just so you guys can screenshot both example 1 and 2, just in case you didn't get to screenshot the first example. Apologies, simply. And guys, remember, if you can do those 3 steps that we outlined, you will be able to simplify your expressions. Right, last few seconds to screenshots. Right, and then we're going to try one more before our brain break. Okay, so let's have a look at question 3. So question 3, we've got the fraction x plus 2y times 6 all divided by 3 plus 2 times x plus 2y minus 4y. Now guys, again, start by identifying your terms. There are my plus signs and minus signs outside of the bracket. So this whole fraction is my first term. 2 times the bracket is my second term. The minus 4y is my third term. So what we want to do is we want to simplify each of these terms. So if we have a look at our first term, we can see that in the fraction, the first thing I actually need to do is I need to distribute, or I need to multiply the 6 into the bracket. Now there's 2 ways to do this, but we're going to start with our distribution just so that it's out of the way. And we know that 6 times x is 6x, 6 times positive 2y is positive 12y. That is still all over our denominator of 3. The denominator, English, the denominator hasn't changed because I never did anything with the denominator. It's still 3. When I get to my second term, again, I need to distribute. So I've got 2 times x, which is positive 2x, and 2 times 2y, which is positive 4y. And then that minus 4y at the end is just there. We'll deal with it when we start adding and subtracting our like terms. Now, guys, remember, when we've got fractions, one way to simplify these fractions is to split the fraction. Now, that basically means to take each of the things in the numerator and separate them. So what we're going to do is we're going to write our fraction as 6x over 3. So we're splitting our fraction plus 12y over 3. That's what we want to do. We want to split the fraction because that will help us simplify. We still have the plus 2x, the plus 4y, and the minus 4y. Those haven't gone anywhere, but I'm going to leave them for now whilst I simplify. So now if I go back to my fractions, I know that I can divide 6 by 3, leaving me with 2. So my first fraction simplifies to 2x. And I also know that in my second fraction, I can divide 12 by 3, giving me 4. So my second fraction simplifies to 4y. And now that I've dealt with all the simplification within my terms, I can go and find my like terms. So I've got a 2x and a plus 2x. If I then go to my y terms, I've got a 4y, another 4y, and a minus 4y. So those are all of my like terms grouped together. Again, if you want to write them next to each other, so in their like term groups, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to, but you're welcome to. And now we add and subtract. So 2x plus 2x is 4x. You've got 2 x's in one group. You're adding another 2 x's. So in total, you've got 4 x's. And then in terms of our y's, positive 4y plus 4y is 8y. But then we're subtracting 4y. So I actually just end up with a positive 4y. And guys, remember, the goal is to simplify. So I have gone from this whole long complicated question to a nice simplified answer. And that is the entire goal of simplification. We want to take what we were given and make it simpler to understand. So again, identify your terms, simplify each of your terms, add and subtract your like terms. So I'll wait here in case anyone wants to take a screenshot. If anyone has any questions, now is the time to raise your hand and ask. Cassie?
Ma'am, I wanted to ask, as I didn't get everything, but they want to say 2x plus 2x plus 4y plus 4y minus 4y. And then the final answer, you said 4x plus 4y. I still didn't get that part. Are you supposed to add them all up together?
So remember, the reason I'm getting the 4x, whoopsie daisies, is because I've added the like terms together. So I've added the 2x plus the 2x, and that's given me 4x. Because if I've got 2 x's and I'm adding another 2 x's, I get 4. Then in terms of the y's, I said 4y plus 4y, which is 8y. And then I said minus 4y, which leaves me with a positive 4y. So that final answer is from me adding and subtracting my like terms.
Oh, thank you, I get it.
Good, well done. Butlale, question?
So, ma'am, I wanted to ask that why do we put, you see for the x plus 2y, close bracket system, why do we put the 6 in front of the x?
Okay, so the reason I'm putting the 6 in front of the x, if we just look at what that part is telling me. So if I take this bit of my numerator and I have a look at what it's saying, it is saying x plus 2y times 6. So I need to times the 6 with the x, and I need to times the 6 with the 2y. So when I say x times 6, I end up with 6x. We usually write the number in front and then the variable. When I say 12, and then again the variable goes at the end. Does that make more sense? Okay, I'm hoping it does. Mohal, question?
Yeah, see, network is killing all of us. I don't know, Teacher Sam, if you can hear, but for me, it's, I hear and then it cuts with everyone.
So,
hi, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there we go. Let's try.
Don't you like times the, I mean, like add up the x and, yeah, the x's.
So I did add the x's. I said 2x plus 2x. So that gave me 4x.
Okay, I mean, like you say y plus y plus y, then it gives you like 3y or something.
Okay, so we don't add an exponent when we add or subtract. If I'm just adding 2x plus x, the x stays x. It's only the number in front of the variable or in front of the x that changes.
Okay.
Okay, good. So guys, just on that question, we are going to eventually chat about exponents next term. So we will chat about that then. But when you add and subtract, if it's an x, it stays an x. The number in front, so the coefficient will change, but the actual variable and its exponent don't change when we add and subtract. Dal, question?
Oh, sorry. This is my mic. Okay. Ma'am, how did you get 6x?
Okay, so remember the 6x came from me multiplying the 6 into the bracket. So 6 times x gave me 6x.
6 times, but like right at the top, you know, like there's like no 6 anywhere.
So the 6 is at the end of the bracket. It's behind the bracket.
Oh.
Okay, so sometimes, not we want to trick you out, but sometimes the number we want to multiply into our bracket is actually at the end of the bracket. So we always need to just look out for that.
But like 6 is not like a like term to x.
It isn't, but remember, we're not adding or subtracting. We are multiplying. So I
multiplying bracket.
don't need like terms when I multiply. It's only when I add or subtract.
Okay, thank
Did
you, ma'am.
get that? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Sorry, there's so much going on. Smakeling, question? Should be a little pop-up to unmute yourself.
You can do this. We are with you. There's a pop-up there. And you see a pop-up, the box that comes. Just click on it. Try clicking on it. Okay, we're going to try this again. Okay, on my side. Click, we are with you, Smakeling. No, don't worry. Don't panic. There's a box there. Can you see it? Okay, now I cannot see your face. Then I don't know whether you are doing what we are saying or not. But please put your question also on the chat. Like this we can see and then we can help you, okay? But normally there should be a pop-up box there that you click on it and then you'll be able to talk to us. But you need to click on it. Okay, my people, I'm not sure about Teacher Sam, but I feel like there's many questions about this, which I don't know. So maybe Teacher Sam, it might help to just go through the answer, and everyone, you are listening, okay? Because we'll do more examples for you guys to understand, okay? But please pay attention, because like this, Teacher Sam doesn't have to repeat herself over and over. We need to be listening, okay, my people? We're doing really great.
Okay, so guys, it does mean that we're not going to take a brain break. So if you need to just quickly stand up and stretch, do that. I'm going to explain this question one more time, and then we're moving on. So if you have a look at the original question, we have got 3 terms. We know that we've got 3 terms because the plus and the minus separate my terms for me. So they are my separators for my terms. And then I need to go and say, can I simplify my terms? Now, in the first term, so if we go to this first term here, which is the fraction, I can see that I have got the bracket times 6. So what I need to do is I need to multiply the 6 and the 2y and the 6 and the x. So that's what I've done over here. I've done my multiplication, giving me 6x and 12y, which is my new numerator once I've simplified. If I then go and have a look at my second term had the 2 in front of the bracket. And so what I want to do is I want to multiply the 2 into the bracket. So if I do that multiplication, we've got 2 times x, which is 2x, and 2 times 2y, which is 4y. This is why if we now go back up to our working out, we've got 2x plus 4y over there. That came from my second term. Then I just have the minus 4y. There was nothing I could do with this third term, so it stays exactly as it is. I will eventually add it and subtract it in my like terms. Now, if I go back to my first term, I can still see that I've got this division that I need to deal with. Now, remember, when I've got a fraction and I need to deal with division, I split my fraction. So what I did was I took the 6x and I put it over 3, and I took my plus 12y and I put it over 3 as well. That then allowed me to simplify, because if I say 6x divided by 3, if we now do our signs, numbers, variables, positive divided by a positive is a positive, 6 divided by 3 is 2, and then we have our x. The x doesn't go anywhere. And we'll do the same thing with the 12y divided by 3. Positive divided by a positive is a positive, 12 divided by 3 is 4, and then we've got our y. So this is why I've got the 2x plus 4y. That is from my division. Once all of that is dealt with, so once the multiplication and division is dealt with, that is now when I look for my like terms. So in this, what would that be, third last step over here, what I am doing is I'm collecting my like terms. And this is why I've highlighted all the terms that have x's in it and all the terms that have y in it, because those are the terms I can now add or subtract. So 2x plus 2x is 4x, 4y plus 4y is 8y, but then I have to subtract 4y, so that leaves me with positive 4y. So that is why my final answer is 4x plus 4y. Right, so guys, you always want to check what simplification you can do in terms of multiplication and division before you even start considering your like terms. Righty, so take your screenshot of this if you haven't already. Makaling, do you want to try this one more time? Can you unmute? Okay. Right, there was a question about, do we do unlike terms? Basically, you either get like terms or terms that are not like terms. We don't really call them unlike terms. So essentially 4x and 4y are unlike terms. They are not like terms. We identify like terms. We don't really stress about identifying like or unlike. If they're not like terms, then they're not like terms. Right, Dal, before I move on to the next one.
Ma'am, like on the third step, ma'am, can you like say 6x divided by like actually put the divide sign divided by 3 and then plus 12y divided by 3.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't want to use fractions and you want to use the division sign, that's absolutely fine.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so guys, I just said, oh no, actually I didn't. I just use fractions because for me personally, I do find them a bit easier. But if you want to, like in question 2, use the division sign, that's absolutely fine. They mean exactly the same thing. So if you prefer a division sign, go for it. All right. So let's have a look. I know I'm skipping some things, but it doesn't matter. Let's have a look at these questions here. We're not going to get through all of them, but let's see how we go. Let's start with question A. So, I don't know, I'm panicking. Right. Question A. Again, we're going to identify our terms for ourselves. So remember, look for the plus or minus signs that are not inside the bracket. So that would be the plus sign and the minus sign. And that separates this expression into 3 terms. And so what we want to now do is we want to see if we can simplify these terms. If you want to write this as a fraction, you can. You don't have to. This would be 12x divided by 4, 12xy, apologies. And we know we can simplify that. If we have a look then at this bracket situation, remember there is technically a 1 in front of this bracket, but if I multiply positive 1 to positive 3x, it stays 3x. And if I multiply positive 1 to 2x, it stays 2x. So it doesn't change anything, but we can remember that it is there. So if we go and do this question A, I'm just going to do it on the side here. Our first term is that fraction or that division of 12xy divided by 4. Then we've got the plus. Now remember, 1 times 3x is just 3x, and 1 times 2x is 2x. And then we've got that final minus xy. So we want to simplify this first term. Positive divided by a positive is a positive. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So I'm left with 3xy. And then we've got our other terms. So we've got our plus 3x, our plus 2x, and our minus xy. Because I've simplified everything, this is now y and a minus xy, and I've got a 3x and a 2x. So I can add my like terms together. 3xy minus 1xy, remember there's a 1 in front here, is 2xy, and 3x plus 2x is positive 5x. So we have simplified our expression by making sure that we follow those 3 steps. Identify our terms, simplify each term, add and subtract our like terms. So I want you guys to try question B for me. Remember, sorry, you've got this 2 at the back of the bracket. So that 2 needs to distribute into that first bracket. I'm just going to remind you of that. So try question B for me. Mohal, is there a reason your hand is up?
Ma'am?
Yeah?
Because I have tried it, but I tried verifying my answer with the calculator and it gave me another answer.
Okay, so we can't really do this with a calculator because we have X's and Y's. We do have unknown values here, so it's a bit hard to try and do it on the calculator.
Yes.
Okay, so guys, that's a good point. Unfortunately, with algebra, it's very rare that we can ever check our answers because we have X's and Y's. We can't put X and Y in our calculator to simplify an expression. So it means that we can't really use our calculator. So this is where we need to be very careful with our addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Remember, guys, I did say no brain break. Unfortunately, we just don't have the time. But we will continue, obviously, with our brain breaks on Monday.
Yeah, we soldier on. We are in the big team now. Big team, guys. Big ups to you. Let's do this. We are getting there, guys.
Okay, so remember, you're doing question B. I've given you a little hint of what you can start with, that distribution. Seeing some answers coming in so far, very nice. Remember, guys, generally, those variables don't just disappear unless you've got terms that cancel each other out. So like 5x minus 5x, which gives you 0. We should generally end up with x's and y's in our answer. All right, I'm going to give everyone another minute, then we'll have a look. Good, grade 8s, well done. I know it's been a long hour, but you guys have done really, really nicely. Okay, would anyone like to raise their hand to explain this one? Okay, blessed again, let's see.
Ma'am, I said 2 times 5, and then I got 10x. Then I said plus, and then I times with 2y. Then I got 4y, and then I put minus y, and then I put again minus 2x, and then I grouped the numbers, and then I said 10x minus 2x plus 4y minus y, and then I got 8x plus 3y. Ma'am.
Blessed, you still there? What was your final answer?
8x plus 3y. Ma'am.
Perfect, well done. Right, so guys, exactly 8x plus 3y. Excuse me. We multiply the 2 into the bracket. So what we have is 2 times 5x, which gives us 10x, and 2 times 2y, which gives us 4y. So that's where this came from over here. We then had the minus y and the minus 2x. From there, we collect our like terms. Again, if you want to write the like terms together or like group together, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to, but you're welcome to. And once we've added and subtracted our like terms, we have simplified our expression. So this expression simplifies to that 8x plus 3y. All right, so grade 8s again, do it step by step. There is no need to rush these questions. Look at the terms, see what division and multiplication need to happen before you start trying to find like terms. If you I mean, it's the same as BODMAS. We always deal with any division or multiplication first. That is why we did this multiplication step first before we did the addition and subtraction. It has to happen first according to our order of work. So just remember to simplify your terms before you start adding or subtracting. Right, I'll leave this up here in case anyone wants to take a screenshot.